When you want to get the most out of your sales reps, you have to do this one fundamental skill as a sales leader. And that is give feedback. Sales professionals often want to hear feedback, but aren't receiving feedback that is constructive, aren't receiving feedback that is motivating, aren't receiving feedback that is going to help them grow. The problem we have here is we want to get the most out of our sales team. However, we're always so tied in to giving just feedback when it's bad, or giving feedback that's solely surrounded by numerical purposes, right? If you've hit your revenue projections, are you hitting quota? You see, that feedback goes without needing to be said. Any sales professional that's worth their salt will know my feedback in my reflection of my numbers kind of go hand in hand. I know if I'm performing. I know if I'm not performing. That's not the type of feedback that gets the most out of your sales employees. So here's what we do. When you want to give feedback to your sales professionals, to your sales leaders, people who are generating revenue for your organization, there's 4 points you want to remember. One, the feedback you give your sales professionals, your sales team, should inspire action, not demotivate. You see, when we give feedback that's solely based around quantitative metrics, quota, for example, and you tell someone they're not performing, that doesn't inspire action. When you give feedback that inspires employees to take action, they're naturally going to perform at a higher level. So give feedback that's going to inspire, not feedback that's going to discourage. The second thing that you can do to give quality feedback to your sales professionals is ask yourself, as a sales manager, what is my objective in giving this feedback? Is my objective to give this feedback to check a box? Let's be honest here. Am I trying to check an HR box and saying, hey, I gave this person feedback, I'm going to have to fire them down the road, they haven't changed their performance? Or is your objective to truly inspire this employee to perform at their best capabilities? So you have to ask yourself as a manager, what's the objective of giving this feedback? The third thing you can do when you're delivering feedback is embrace the difficult conversations. You see, the harsh reality of giving feedback to a sales professional is it is a numerical based business, right? You hit quota, you perform. You don't hit quota, you're not performing. Don't shy away from those difficult conversations. Now, the difficult conversations aren't just saying, hey, Joe, you're not hitting quota. The difficult conversations are diving deep, going into this person's sales process, going into this person's influencers, what's influencing this person to do well, what's causing this person not to do well. You have to embrace these difficult conversations. And as a sales leader, if you're nervous or uncomfortable delivering these difficult conversations, the person you're giving feedback to is also going to be uncomfortable with these difficult conversations. And that is how conversations turn into a shouting match or an argumentative conversation. They don't turn into constructive feedback. And the fourth thing you can do to ensure that you're giving quality feedback is remember this: good feedback is just as important as bad feedback. If every time you give an employee feedback, it's only bad feedback, eventually that person is never going to want to hear from you. Eventually, your employee isn't going to want to grow with you anymore because they truly have believed the reputation you've given them. It's one of the oldest principles in how to win friends and influence people. If you give somebody a reputation to live up to, eventually they'll live up to that reputation. Well, if you're only giving bad feedback, eventually that person's going to feel like they are a bad employee and they will perform like a bad employee. So be sure to give positive feedback just as much as you do negative feedback. Now, I'm not saying to do the traditional good feedback, bad feedback, good feedback sandwich. I think that's an antiquated technique. I think it's an antiquated philosophy, and we'll dive deeper that in another blog post. Now, just because you're going to go implement these 4 areas to improve the quality of feedback you're giving your sales professionals doesn't mean they're going to perform at the level you want them to. And it doesn't mean that they're going to grow and develop the way you want them to. The problem when we deliver feedback, and this is for you, the sales manager, the sales leader, the entrepreneur, the owner of the business, feedback that we deliver has to be a consistent program in the way you manage or lead people. The problem we have is we only give feedback occasionally. We only give feedback to, remember how we said it, check the boxes, an employee's annual review, a once a quarter field visit, whatever the situation may be. If that is the only time you're giving feedback to somebody, that's not enough. The solution here is simple. Give feedback consistently, give feedback constructively, give feedback openly. The more feedback you share, the more your employees are going to grow. That's what I got for you this week. I'm Anthony Garcia. This is the Catapulting Commission Sales Blog. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, comment. Let me know your thoughts. How often do you want to hear feedback from those who lead you? See you guys next week.